A heart of gold, the man who chose kindness over riches. In a small, quiet town surrounded by lush green hills and clear rivers, there lived a simple man named Thomas. Thomas was not a wealthy man, nor did he hold any powerful position. He worked as a humble carpenter, fixing tables, chairs, and doors for the people in the village. Yet, everyone loved and respected him, for Thomas was known for his kindness and selflessness. He was always willing to lend a helping hand, even when he had very little himself. Today, let me take you through Thomas's story, a story that shows how a man with a heart of gold chose kindness over riches, and how that decision changed his life and the lives of those around him. The early days. Thomas had grown up in the same village. His parents were honest, hardworking people who taught him the value of kindness, honesty, and generosity. They weren't rich, but they were loved because they were always ready to help others. When Thomas was young, he remembered seeing his mother sharing bread with a hungry traveler and his father giving up his coat to a man shivering in the cold. As Thomas grew, he took these values to heart. He learned the art of carpentry from his father and, over time, became the village's best carpenter. He wasn't wealthy, but he was content. He had enough to eat, a small home to live in, and the respect of the people around him. The mysterious visitor. One cold winter morning, Thomas heard a knock on his door. When he opened it, he saw an old man with a long, white beard and a tired face. The old man looked worn out, his clothes were ragged, and he seemed to be shivering from the cold. Thomas welcomed the man into his home, offering him a seat by the fire. He gave him a warm bowl of soup and some bread. As the man ate, he looked at Thomas and said, "You are very kind. Many people would turn me away, but you have welcomed me warmly. Why is that?" Thomas simply replied, "I believe that every person deserves kindness. My parents taught me that wealth is not just about money but also about the good deeds we do." The old man nodded, a strange sparkle in his eye. After finishing his meal, he thanked Thomas and disappeared into the cold morning. The offer of wealth. A few days later, Thomas received a letter. It was unusual for him to get any letter, let alone one delivered by a grand messenger. He opened it carefully, and as he read, he was stunned. The letter was from the old man he had helped that cold morning. As it turned out, the old man was not just any traveler. He was a very wealthy merchant who often disguised himself to see the hearts of the people he met. In the letter, the merchant wrote, "Your kindness has touched my heart. You are a man of true wealth, wealth of spirit. I have left a chest of gold coins for you in the barn near the town square. Use it however you wish, and may it bring you joy." Thomas couldn't believe what he was reading. He felt a surge of excitement as he thought of all the things he could do with that kind of wealth. He could buy a bigger home, wear finer clothes, and even have servants to help him. However, deep inside, Thomas also felt uneasy. What would he do with so much money? He lived a simple life and had never needed much to be happy. The choice to give. After much thought, Thomas decided to visit the barn and see the chest himself. When he arrived, he was astonished at the sight. The chest was filled with gold coins, enough to make him one of the richest men in the town. But as he stood there, he thought about the people in his village, those who were struggling, those who barely had enough to eat, and those who needed more than he did. As he looked at the chest, an idea began to form in his mind. Instead of taking all the gold for himself, he would use it to help others. Thomas began by quietly paying off the debts of struggling families in the village. He would leave bags of food and warm blankets at the doors of those in need. He fixed the roofs of homes and repaired broken fences, never expecting anything in return. He helped send children to school who couldn't afford it and provided medicines for the sick. All this he did anonymously, letting the townspeople wonder who their secret benefactor was. The town's transformation. Word quickly spread through the village about the mysterious acts of kindness. People were curious and eager to know who was behind all these generous gifts, but Thomas kept his secret safe. He felt a quiet joy every time he saw a smile on the face of a neighbor who had been helped. As time passed, the village itself began to change. Inspired by the kindness they received, the people of the village started helping each other in small ways. Neighbors shared their food, families supported each other, and strangers became friends. The entire village became closer and kinder because of Thomas's secret generosity. Thomas's simple act of giving, his choice to use the wealth to uplift others, created a wave of goodness that spread across the town. People were happier, healthier, and more united than ever before. The revelation. Years went by, and Thomas continued his quiet acts of kindness. One day, the merchant returned to the village. He had heard about the mysterious benefactor who had been helping the villagers and was curious to know who it was. The merchant sought out Thomas, and as they spoke, he quickly realized that it was Thomas who had chosen to use the wealth not for himself, but to help others. The merchant was deeply moved by this. He said to Thomas, "I gave you this gold to see what kind of man you are. You could have kept it all, but instead, you gave it away. You are richer than any man I know, for you have a heart of gold, the legacy of kindness. Thomas smiled and replied, wealth is not what we keep but what we share. Kindness is the truest form of wealth, and it's the only treasure that grows the more we give it away. The merchant spread the story of Thomas's kindness far and wide, and soon people from all around came to hear about the man with a heart of gold. Thomas continued to live a simple life, but he was never poor in spirit or in joy. And though he had little for himself, his life was filled with love, respect, and friendship. To this day, Thomas's story is told as a reminder that true wealth lies not in the gold we possess, but in the kindness and generosity of our hearts. Moral of the story. The true value of wealth is in how it is used. Kindness and generosity create happiness that money alone cannot buy. True riches are found in the hearts of those who share what they have, lifting others up and making the world a better place.